As a young entrepreneur, the impact of the elections in terms of political risk on the Nigerian business environment.
Thank you very much for having me. We have quite a number of macroeconomic issues that are really weighing on the state of businesses in Nigeria currently. We have a weak naira, which is one big impediment. We have the tariffs on clearing of fairly used cars just gone up by 70% effective January this year. We have the election season, and a couple of businesses, a couple of sectors are tied to trends, and they make profit or loss based on which political affiliations or leanings happen. We have massive deficits in several areas in Nigeria, in power, in infrastructure, in healthcare. These are risks for the economy. These are risks weighing on businesses. So, it's interesting to see how the election next year will play, and it's very interesting to see what bearing it's going to have on the state of businesses in Nigeria. To be honest with you, businesses that are really making money in this period are the advertising agencies, the printing companies. They are making a killing. Brand consultants are making a fortune in this period. Political strategists are also making a fortune. So it's most of the businesses that has bearing on the tools and requirements that the politicians need to succeed in their campaigns, making the most profit from this season. So I'm not very optimistic about our business confidence because there are massive deficits in several sectors that are weighing down on the operational ability of businesses in Nigeria. One very critical area is power. You can imagine what can happen if we have 12 hours of power from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day for businesses to run. And you can imagine what will happen if you just have 12 hours of power and companies don't have to burn diesel or fuel every day, and they don't have to pass on that cost to their consumers or their customers. You can imagine what will happen if we have a competitive currency. A lot of Nigerians are taking losses because Nigerians are addicted to foreign products. 90% of what we consume is important. So you can imagine an economy that is import-driven, having a weak currency. Now, usually, based on the IMF standards, countries that are import-driven should have strong currencies, and countries that are export-driven should have weak currencies, which is one way China has been able to achieve is 6 to 7% GDP quarter by quarter in the past 5 to 6 years. So you have a conflicting cycle in Nigeria. You have an import-driven economy that consumes about 90% of what it consumes is about 90% of imports, and then you have a weak currency. So a few days ago, dollar touched 200 again and came back to about 193 to the dollar. Pounds touched 300 and came back to about 294. So two major issues: stability of our currency, power. Those are two major issues for me. I think are game changers for the negative for businesses in Nigeria. So it's interesting what will happen next month, and interesting to see what bearings it will have in terms of policy direction for businesses in Nigeria. Inflation is one very critical area because maintaining price stability between inflation and deflation, and also avoiding stagflation, is the number one mandate of every central bank in the world. That's their number one mandate, and they have several mechanisms to do that. They have mopping up of cash through treasury bills. They have selling of government bonds. They have using of quantitative easing vehicles to shock the system. They have reducing or increasing interest rates to see how they can reduce inflation. They have money supply, reducing money supply at some point to avoid too much of cash in the system. which also causes inflation, which is what the former central bank governor was trying to achieve with the cashless policy. Because in Nigeria, we're so used to cash, but we can see that the use of POS machines and the use of electronic transactions has increased, and bank transfers has also increased in the last 4 years. So that has kind of contributed in a way to reducing inflation. But the broader factors that are more powerful tools in maintaining price stability and reducing inflation are not being addressed. And what are the broader factors? The broader factors, you look at the pressure we have on the stock markets. The broader factors, you look at the amount of foreign exchange we have to send abroad to buy products. Look at the weak naira and how much it has increased, and the fact that it's passed on to the consumers. Those are the broader factors. You look at the level of building individually that businesses have to do to succeed. There is no collective infrastructure for businesses to succeed. There are no support structures and systems for them to do well. So all of this is contributing massively to the high inflation you see. So when the CBN governor comes up with the idea, or is one of his policy tools to reduce inflation of interest rates, I'm not very convinced, because it's a very, as much as it's a strong tool, it's not a powerful tool enough to reduce inflation in Nigeria. It has to be addressed from an holistic perspective, from all the other macroeconomic policy tools for it to have any effect on the level of inflation we have in Nigeria. The normal level of inflation in any sane economy should be below 5%. It shouldn't be more than 5%. So he has a lot of work to do. He has his game cut out for him in the next 12 months to see how he can maintain inflation at least at single digits. Owing to what has happened until now, I am in real doubt of whether Nigerian politicians have what it takes. They have the wherewithal to advance policies that will help our economy grow and help businesses to succeed, and most importantly, help businesses to export more and make the equation balanced and move us from being so import driven to also export products overseas. For me, they are critical areas, and I think this is what we discussed the last time where I was featured on 4 major areas: skills, health, infrastructure, and technology. I feel that these are 4 critical areas that will balance the equation for our entrepreneurs in Nigeria. A lot of young people are passionate about succeeding financially and setting up businesses, but they don't have the right skill set to make it happen. Health is wealth. It's one major area. We don't have. You can see that a lot of people. Last time I said that the medical tourism industry in India is worth $250 million per year, and in Southeast Asia, in all of Asia, India is the most profitable country that has a medical tourism base of that level. I'll just give you a quick analogy. A research was done some time ago, and they discovered that over the course of 10 years, about 2 million cataract surgeries were performed. And they discovered that in India, it costs $20 million to perform 2 million cataract surgeries. But it costs £2 billion to perform the same 2 million cataract surgeries in the UK. The healthcare system in England is more expensive than the healthcare system in India, but the healthcare system in India is more cost efficient and as effective as the healthcare system in the UK. So, we need to realize that we have 160 million people who need health. They don't want health, they need health. It's a basic right, it's a basic necessity. It's not something that can be postponed. Just like food, it's not something that can be moved forward. So we need to focus on skills, we need to focus on providing health structures, providing healthcare providers, healthcare insurers, providing the facilities, providing the doctors and the nurses and the assistants. We need to focus on infrastructure. No economy succeeds without infrastructure. Now, you have a city of 17 million people that loses about 4 to 5 hours of its workday because a lot of executives are stuck in traffic, either going to work in the morning or going back home in the evening. Now, if you have the right infrastructure in bridges, in tunnels, you diversify from roads to the waterways, inland waterways, to the airports, to rail terminals, you see that it reduces the pressure on the road. The road has a longer lifespan, and people can save time and convert that time to more productive ventures. So infrastructure is one critical area and one major tool for the government to drive businesses in Africa. The last part is technology. Technology, I believe, is a game changer. Technology is what helps businesses to export their services overseas, right? So I believe that technology is one way that Nigerian businesses can promote their services abroad without incurring very heavy costs like it was before technology came to where it is today. So I believe that if we provide the structures that the businesses will succeed, and if the businesses succeed, the government succeeds. If businesses fail, government fails. Because when businesses succeed, they pay taxes to the government, and the government succeeds financially. In 2011, the Inland Revenue Service in America reported that the Inland Revenue Service paid the US government $2.5 trillion in taxes, right? So if Americans, companies, and individuals alike paid $2.5 trillion in taxes in one financial year to the government, which is equivalent to about 500 trillion naira in Nigeria, you can imagine what will happen when businesses succeed in Nigeria. For me, I feel the best way for government to succeed is for them to provide the structures and the platforms that will make young people between the ages of 18 and 40 to succeed in business.